Well, whatever it is that you know about aviation, I think there is definitely a history to it. But in recent time, the challenges faced by airline operators due to the recent increase in ground handling charges by ground handling companies, SACO to be specific, and NACO, that's Skyway Aviation Handling Company and the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, are some of the issues we want to look at this morning. Well, forms part of our conversation this morning with Mr. Chris Aligbe, who is a former GM Corporate Affairs, Nigeria Airways. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about Nigeria Airways for just a tiny bit. I know that you are the spokesperson. You were the spokesperson. You know, what memories does it give you?
Well, thank you very much. Memories. Memories on an airline that had great hopes, great challenges, but at some point, government was not ready to face the challenges. It was completely owned by government, 100%, and the government knew why the airline was stuttering, why it was failing. But then it was not at the point of liquidation, because the government, the effort Obasanjo administration made to revive the airline by appointing IFC as a transaction advisor for the privatization was very great. But after IFC submitted its 147-page report stating that the airline was in a fit state for privatization and advised against liquidation or turnaround. There were three options they had: liquidation, turnaround, and privatization, and advised that the airline should never be liquidated, and said the turnaround option would take quite a long time and more money from government, and they advised on privatization. The government accepted this report at FEC, at all the levels, at the level of the ministry, but then suddenly, from nowhere, the Obasanjo administration, who appointed IFC, completely undermined all the recommendations. And the IFC, in response, decided to quit. They even decided to return the $400,000 paid to them. But Obasanjo said, no, you've done your job. It's your place to make recommendation. It's my place to decide. And so the people left. That's memory one has of and at the time of liquidation, you know, the airline assets were 4 times the liabilities. 4 times. So if a private man had that company, he would take some of the assets, sell some of the assets to clear the liabilities. But it didn't happen. All the assets were thrown up in a bazaar, as it were. So that's why. But the painful memory that I have today is that hundreds of thousands of my colleagues have died waiting for their pension.
I'm sincerely hoping that a day and time will come where we can review some of these, particularly in the light of reviving the airline or aerospace in Nigeria. But one of the issues that we would like to discuss with you today is about the airline operators' recent increase in the ground handling charges. Did this situation, was this an issue back in the day?
No, it wasn't, because there was only one handling company in the early days, NACO. NACO was owned basically by FAN and had investment into it by foreign airlines. But that eventually was passed out, and NACO became a fully private organization, and it was considered that airlines should not be investors in NACO. They thought there was a conflict of interest. There would be a conflict of interest. Then Nigeria Airways had its own ground handling company. It was called then SACOL, Sky Power Aviation Handling Company. But then eventually during the process of privatization, when the airline was liquidated, that circle was not liquidated. It had become a company, as it were, and it eventually came to the point that they thought that it was best to privatize it, and the company was privatized. They eventually, after a great revival of that company, it moved from, it's down to this Skyway Aviation Handling Company. Yeah. It was bought into or owned today by CFAX, and that's what it is.
Well, clearly, it seems like this challenge, this is a significant challenge for airline operators. What do you make of it?
What kind of significant challenge?
You don't think it is a significant challenge?
No, there must be handling companies. Okay. If there are no handling companies...
It's the increase I'm talking about, the increase in the ground handling charges.
Kenny, has there not been increases everywhere? Airline fares have increased, fuel costs have increased, forex, this thing have moved, everything has increased. Charges, fan charges, everywhere, everybody has increased fares. So ground handling company is also in business, and they have to stay in business.
But you do realize that the cost naturally goes to the consumer.
Cost naturally goes to consumer?
Yes.
What cost does not go to consumer in the airline operations? What cost? Is it fuel cost? JT1? Is it what cost? Is it forex cost? What cost does not go to consumer? The airlines pass every cost they have, they pass it to the consumer. So it's not a rare thing when you say cost in the aviation chain that it goes to consumer. It goes to consumer, even in the land local transport. Cost goes to consumer.
But you do know, of course, that over time, airline operators have been complaining about this, costs of everything, which naturally could, lead to they themselves cutting down on certain service deliveries, passing cost to the customer, cutting down on some things that could jeopardize the lives of their passengers?
See, when you are in business, you take a holistic look of cost implications of the business you're going into. You know that there must be ground landing companies to handle your aircraft, otherwise there won't be flight operations. But you don't expect a company within the loop to subsidize your operations. The challenges, obviously, airlines, like in other sectors, they have challenges. Some challenges coming from outside, some challenges coming from within. So, and ground handling is not one of the big cost elements in airline operation. The first cost element in airline operation is aviation fuel. And so when you look at, in fact, handling companies are small in the scheme. So when you leave the big cost elements to try to handle this thing, one in the loop that is trying to survive the way you're trying to survive. Because ground handling companies, all their equipments are imported, none is manufactured here. They need forex, training are foreign training, and is a very, very professional area because any little damage to an aircraft by a handling company is a major problem. So they need forex, they need to train their staff, and they need to survive. It is all the challenges that airlines are facing in the aviation sector, in the operations, are virtually all the challenges that ground handling companies are facing. So when you look at your own challenges, you cry about it. The smaller organization, you want to pick it up. It's like in a fight, you leave a big man and take the small boy and beat the person. They can't lynch these ground handling companies. They are not the major cost element.
The question that anyone will be asking you right now is, on whose side are you? The minister or the airlines or the people?
I'm on the side of justice.
And what is justice in this
case? Justice is that the finger you are pointing, the place you are pointing on the finger, is not the major cost of operation. It's not the major cost. There are major costs. There are about, if you list them, about 10 critical cost elements. You find that ground handling companies is at the lowest ebb. It's not as much as they're talking. And what's changing? If you know, to handle a 737, 75,000 naira. That's no. This has been the cost. 75,000 is not even up to minimum wage that an aircraft flies in, drops, and you have about 5 or 6 staff personnel handling that, the preparation for the aircraft for another flight. You have all the equipment to bring out luggage, all the equipment to do it. You see that this is so much. When you hear 75,000 naira, it doesn't make anything. It's not even enough for man. I mean, when you calculate the man hours, you get to the point of maybe 200 naira per man hour. It doesn't work.
So you think the money, even the increase, is not enough?
As far as I'm concerned, what's the percentage increase? That's the issue. When people talk about the airline operators, those who are going to have a 600% increase, it is not true. You see, what has happened in the industry is that when we go to the public, we feed the public with lies. And that is, it's painful because our industry now is lies everywhere. And then people don't decipher the truth. Check, if anybody comes here and say, the increase is 600%, please ask that person to give you a calculation. I know that the increase is about 300%. It's about, because from 75,000, it's about 280, 290 for 737. But when you check the job, the work that goes into it, the number of people that are involved, the equipment that are used, whether the fuel, every cost, like I say, whatever affects airlines in airline operation in terms of cost, even Forex affects ground handling companies.
Do you think there was any conversation between the operators and the ground handlers?
Yes.
If there wasn't, perhaps that would be the issue.
No, there's been conversation. Maybe they didn't come to terms about the cost. The airlines, we want a lower cost, but the ground handling companies, we have to survive the way you are battling to survive. When you're talking about costs, during Christmas period, during festive period, people paid 500, 700, 600,000 for flights, which is not what it should be. It is not ground handling company didn't increase their charges when these things were happening. So for you to come and say it is ground handling companies that are causing pass to the customers, costs have been passed so much to the passengers on some acceptable grounds and some very, very ludicrous grounds. But it was not the ground handling companies. That's what I'm saying.
So you're essentially saying also that the uproar that followed the increase is unfounded?
The uproar that followed the increase is unfounded because of the lies surrounding it. But the fact that man as operator, everybody wants a lower price. Me, as a passenger, I want lower fare. So everybody wants lower fare. The airlines also are in a position to say we want lower fares. But you cannot kill your ground handler who is in the loop of airline operation because you want it. In fact, the ground handlers are subsidizing the airlines. They cannot keep subsidizing the airlines. They are not government organizations. They're private, because what they charge 737 international operations, you cannot. They are not charging it for local operators. That's a way of subsidy.
Okay. So, do you see a role for any government agency in this conversation?
No, I don't see a role for the prices are deregulated. NCAA is doing it best. What NCAA is doing, I say, look, I'm the regulator. I regulate people, come together, try and reach an agreement.
Okay.
NCAA cannot and will not determine prices, just as it doesn't determine for airlines, because the industry is deregulated. So we're in a deregulated market.
I think Malcolm has just one question for you. Malcolm, go ahead quickly.
So essentially, are you saying, sorry, Mr. Ligwe, are you saying that you know, the ground handlers should be able to charge as they please? Because we understand that they did try to increase their charges, but the minister did tell them that, you know, they should hold fire given the uproar that greeted it. Have they been able to make a concrete case to the minister and also the NCA, who's the regulator?
The minister told them, because the minister has a responsibility to ensure industrial peace, and that's why he weighed in. Not that minister can control the market is deregulated. NCAA is doing what it should do by saying, look, come together, try to agree, so that at least the industrial peace will remain. But the fact of the matter is that the ground handlers have their charges, they have their own challenges. It's just because they're the back door. We don't know what the challenges, they have. But all I'm saying is that every challenge experienced by the airlines are the same challenges being experienced by ground handlers. All their equipments are imported. They need forex. The maintenance they need forex. And with the rising cost of it, they have to address their staff. You can start this thing with new minimum wage. Everything is increasing, so we cannot keep them down and say, look, don't increase so that others will do. They cannot subsidize the operations of the airlines. And some of the airlines are...
So advocacy. Mr. Ligwe, who's your advocacy to this morning? Who precisely are you appealing to?
I'm on the side of justice and fair play. If...
Indeed. Even in matters of justice, there is a judge who dispenses justice. So who are you appealing to?
Who am I appealing to? All that I'm saying is that
yes,
let us put the facts down. Let us put the facts, because what is happening, the facts are not down. If you put the facts down, in the court of public opinion, we know that we say, look, this is the situation, that is the situation. For now, the ground handling companies are being swallowed, as it were, because they are a smaller body. But the fact of the matter is that in business, if we kill ground handling companies, we kill airline operations. That's what I'm saying. I don't want airlines operations to be killed, and I don't want ground handling companies to be killed, because they are all in the loop. They are in the chain of operations. Any day, ground handling companies stop handling, then there will not be any operation.
Well, it's clearly there is a lot more to handle on this matter. We have to thank you for now about this particular issue. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Hopefully to have you again to talk about some other issues, particularly in the aviation sector. Thank you so much for your time. Chris Aligwe is a former GM Corporate Affairs, Nigerian Airways. Again, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.